Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for being here. Most importantly, thank you for being patient with us. We just wanted to make sure that we give the opportunity for our students to log in. Give me 1 second. Okay. And so because you are here and participating, whether you are here with us today in person or you are online, you will be receiving 5-star points. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind, that we will be giving out points for participating and coming to our workshop. So just a quick little introduction. If you can just put it in the chat, what would you rather, and if you can say it out loud too, what would you rather? Would you rather own a private jet where you can go anywhere you want, own your own yacht so you can travel within, or would you rather have your dream car? Which one would you rather have? Awesome. I'm right there with you too. I would definitely want to have my own jet. What are some things that people are saying online, Ms. Bonilla? So dream car, some of us are wanting a dream car, some of us wanting a yacht. So definitely liking that C probably, and having that possibility of driving everywhere you want with your own dream car, right? So another question, would you rather have your own beach house in any beach vacation home, wherever you want to be at, have your own cabin in any national park, lake, or have your own loft, like in a fancy city like New York, Los Angeles, Austin, Texas, or Miami, Florida? What would you rather own? A beach house, a cabin, or a loft, which is kind of like a studio / apartment, condo type of thing. I hear cabin. What are a beach house? Good. Is there a specific beach or specific national park where you would like to have your own cabin? No?
3 cabins, 2 beach houses.
So it seems like cabin's really popular. I definitely would like to own a cabin too. I like the snow, but I also like the summer water where you can go onto the lake and do some fishing or just getting some sun. Alrighty. So if you could have your dream job that would pay you lots of money, what would it be? Any dream job. So these are some possibilities. You could be a chef, a professional sports player, an athlete, a video gamer, a singer. What would be some of those dream jobs that you would like to have? Do you know? No, not sure. It could be anything. We got some athletes here, which is great because we will be talking a little bit about what it takes for you to be a professional athlete. An actress. Awesome. Anything else? Alrighty, so Ms. Bonilla is monitoring the chat as well as Ms. Iniguez. So if you have any specific questions throughout the presentation, you're more than welcome to put them in the chat. If you're here in person, you can go ahead and just say it out loud, raise your hand, what have you, and I'll do my best to answer you. Obviously here in person, I'll be able to answer your questions, but in the chat, I will not be monitoring the chat, so please don't send any private chats to me because I will not be looking at it. Okay, so just something to keep in mind. So what are some of the things that we will be talking about today? We will obviously introduce ourselves. We will talk a little bit about high school credits. We'll talk about A through G requirements, credit recovery, what are some post-secondary options, NCAA, and just some last minute announcements that we just want to make sure everybody knows. So first, I would love to introduce our team. So we have Miss Iniguez, who is our 9th grade counselor. The last name she oversees is A through L. I have myself, Orejel, and I do 9th grade and 10th. So M through R and then A through H for 10th graders. Then we have Ms. Bonilla, who oversees the S through Z for 9th grade, and then I through Z for 10th grade. So it's really important for you to be able to identify and know who your counselor is. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to your counselor. So all three of us are here today. So if you have any specific questions. So high school graduation, and how do you know you're on track? Well, at the end of your 9th grade, so currently right now, our 9th graders, during finals week and when your grades post, in order for you to be considered to be on track for high school graduation, you have to have 60 credits and at least a 2.0. For our sophomores, at the end of this school year, you have to have 120 credits with a 2.0. Okay, that's how you will know if you are on track for high school graduation. If you are not on track for high school graduation, that's when you need to speak with your counselor, and we'll talk a little bit about how you can recover those missing credits. So this is just a little graph for you to reference, okay? Now, A through G requirements. So this part is really, really important. So what is A through G? What does that mean? So area A is history, social science. These are the A through G requirements are the requirements that you need in order for you to become eligible for a 4-year college, okay? 4-year university. So these are your A through G requirements. So area A is history. You have to have 2 years of history with a total of 20 credits. Then there is area B, which is English, and it's your 4 years of English, which is a total of 40 credits. Then there's area C, where it's mathematics, and it's 3 years, so a total of 30. But it is recommended that you take 4 years for that, and we'll talk a little bit more about those recommended years. For science, you have 2 years. 1 year is life science, biological science, or your living earth class. And the second year is physical science, which is your chemistry class. It is also recommended for you to also have 3 years of science. Then we have area E, which is a non-English language. So any foreign language that is not English. And it has to be within the same language. So it has to be 2 years of the same language. So I know some of our students came from Madera South who had 1 year of French. But here at Matilda Torres, we don't offer French. So what that means is now you're going to have to take 2 years of Spanish because that is the only language that we offer at the moment. So if you have 1 year French and then 1 year Spanish, you have not met area E requirement for college. So make sure that you really pay attention to that part. It has to be the same language, okay? Now, again, if there's any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. You're more than welcome to say them out loud and we'll answer them as we're going, okay? It is also recommended for you to have 3 years of language. So some of you are sophomores, your junior year, you may be taking Spanish 3, you may be taking Spanish 2NS, or you may be taking AP Spanish. Okay, so something to kind of keep in mind that we are recommending you, we're putting you in classes that are all of the recommended years, okay? Then we have area F, which is the visual and performing arts. You need 1 year of those, so that's 10 credits. And then last is area G, which is your college prep class and is also 1 year. So actually, let me go back to area F. So what is visual and performing arts? That is art, drama, choir, band. Those are your fine arts, okay? Now we do also have a media arts that does cover that fine art requirement. However, that is also our CTE pathway. So if you are in that CTE pathway of marketing or visual and design, it will meet your CTE pathway and as well as your fine art requirement, but that is mainly saved for a CTE pathway, okay? And then college prep, what those classes are, it could be your CTE classes, it could be an AP class, it could be a dual enrollment class. It just depends on which classes you're in. So what is your 4-year plan? So how is your 4-year going to look from your freshman year all the way to your senior year? So for our 9th graders, you have to have English, math, science, fine art, and an elective, and PE. So as you can see, PE is a little bit kind of on a lighter color. The reason for that is because PE only is a requirement for high school graduation. It is not a requirement for A through G. Okay, so we have high school requirements, but then we also have our A through G requirements. So those are 2 different requirements that we need to meet. Again, A through G is for 4-year university, college bound, you're interested in going to college. And then we have our high school requirements that you're just wanting to graduate from high school, possibly just go to maybe a 2-year college or military or workforce, okay? So PE is only to meet your high school requirements, which you need 3 years of that. Your sophomore year, you're going to have English, math, science, world history. You're going to have PE to meet your high school requirement and an elective. Your 11th grade year, you're going to have English, math, science, US history, a foreign language, and PE. And your senior year, you're going to have English, math, civics, econ, foreign language, and then you're going to have some room for some electives. Okay, so that's pretty much what your 4-year plan is going to look like. However, if you go to summer school to try to get ahead, you do Edgenuity this summer for original credit, it will meet some of these requirements and it'll have some leeway for you to be able to add in some of those other electives or AP classes or dual enrollment classes that you're interested in taking, okay? Now, when you meet with your counselor and we're reviewing your transcript, you're going to get a copy of your transcript. However, if you want to meet with your counselor, you want to request one, just to kind of go over the classes, you're more than welcome to do that. But some of the important things that a transcript holds is a lot of great information. Let me hide this little thing. I know you don't see it, but for our audience here. Okay, so in the first box, you're going to see your first semester. Your first semester, your freshman year in the first box. And it's going to show all of your classes. And it's going to show the credits. So each class is worth 5 credits. At the very left, you're going to see a P. What that P stands for is a college prep class. So remember when I talked about area G in college prep class? That's what that class is going to fill, or it will also fill one of your A through G areas. At the very bottom of each box, it's going to tell you how many credits you completed and what GPA you earned for that semester. Then the second box is your second semester of your freshman year. Then this particular example took some summer classes, and we're able to see what summer classes they did. And as I can see, the student is wanting to get ahead because they took world history in the summer. So our freshmen here, you have that chance to do original credit to try to get ahead, and you can take that world history. However, again, you have to be on track with your credits and your GPA. Okay, so I know there's a lot of summer school emails going out, and this is why, because we want to make sure that you can do your CTE pathway, you can try to get ahead to kind of get some of those fun electives that you don't normally probably get, like leadership or yearbook, and you want to take those, but you have to take your fine arts requirements, you have to do your A through G requirements, and maybe it makes it a little bit difficult. Going to summer school to try to get ahead to kind of open some of those classes during the school year would be a great idea. So then it'll show you this right here where it says work in progress. That means that those are your current classes of what you have right now. Now, right here, you'll see a little legend, and it'll kind of tell you a little bit about what are some honor classes, what are some college prep class, what is a non-academic, meaning that it doesn't meet your A through D requirements. If you're repeating some classes because you need to take them over, that's okay. I'll have a little bit of your GPA. You'll see your total GPA. You'll see your academic GPA 10 through 12. So the reason why I highlighted that one is because when you are doing your A through G requirements, you need to pay attention to two different GPAs. You have your high school GPA, which is total GPA, 9 through 12. And then you have your A through G GPA, knowing as your CSU UC GPA. And that is your 10th to 12th. Because when you are applying to a four-year college, for GPA purposes, they will look at your 10th grade, junior year grades. Now, that being said, does your freshman, I don't want you to think, oh, my freshman year doesn't count. Those grades don't mean anything. It's not in my GPA. No, they do count because they will meet your A through G requirements that you need, which is your English, your math, your science that you're taking those freshman years, okay? But when it comes to applying for college, they will really, really look at your grades, your sophomore and junior year. For sure, they're gonna look at that to make your initial acceptance admissions, okay? Then when you graduate from your senior year, you have to turn in your official transcript. Then they look at your senior grades. So I don't want you to think also, oh, senior year, my grades don't matter. No, they still matter. But when you're applying for college, they really look at your sophomore and junior year. So it's really important to try to aim for those high grades during that time, okay? So I know that I am talking a lot and I'm saying a lot of information. So please, please, please put them in our chat. We have our counselors here who are monitoring that and answering any questions, okay? So then you will see your credits completed. And here I'll let you know how many credits you have completed thus far, okay? And then at the right, I'll have a credit summary. I'll tell you how many credits you need, which is in the blue triangle, how many credits you have completed, which is in the green square, and then how many credits are required, which is on the red circle. So again, in order for you to graduate from high school, you need to have 230 credits and you need to have a GPA of a 2.0 or higher. For A through D requirements, all of your classes you must pass with a C or better. Okay, let me make that very clear again. All of your classes for A through G must be a C or better. Again, A through G is your, remember, history, English, math, science, fine arts, language, college prep class, okay? They need to be passed with a C or better. For high school, it's okay for you to have a D. But if that class, that D, like if, for example, you get a D in English for your freshman year, yes, you met your high school requirements, but you have not met your A through D requirements for college. So you will be recommended to retake that class. If you get a D in PE, do you need to retake that for A through G? Anyone here? If you get a D in PE, do you need to retake that for A through G? No. Good. Awesome. Anybody in the chat? Did they say? Okay. All righty. So want to make sure we get that clear. Okay. And one just little fun note for you to know. Right here where it says class rank, that will let you know where you stand in with your class. So something to kind of keep in mind, the less number. So like if you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you may qualify for our valedictorian scholarship. That is your senior year, which means it's a great scholarship. It's a great honor when you're graduating, saying that you are part of the top class. A lot of colleges, for example, like Fresno State, they have a Smith's Camp Honor Scholarship. If you are 10% of your top class, you could qualify for that scholarship where it will offer a free ride. So that means they will pay for all of your 4 years for free. Okay, so kind of keep that in mind. You want to be at the top rank of your class. And if you're not, that's okay. There's still plenty of scholarships, okay? Okay, so credit recovery. What happens if for some reason, we had the pandemic happen, there's life that happens, maybe our health, some things that are out of our control, or maybe, it was my freshman year, I kind of didn't really quite know how high school was going to be, so I maybe had a rough start. You still have plenty of time to make it up, okay? Please do not get discouraged just because your freshman year may not have looked the greatest. There is lots of options available for you to make up those grades, which is our credit recovery. First, we have Edgenuity, which was offered this year for our 10th graders only. So students can take one class at a time. There's going to be at least 4 opportunities for you to take Edgenuity throughout the school year. So what that means, it's an online program that you take after school for you to make up any of those missing grades and any of the grades that you may have received a D or an F. You retake it and it gets that repeated code on there, and it does not get calculated in your GPA. Now it gets the new grade that you have will now be calculated in your GPA. Okay. Know that Edgenuity, the space is very limited, and it also requires a lot of student expectation, meaning that you kind of need to be on top of it, and you really need to have that after school time, because yes, you meet in a class time, but you also need to spend time doing the homework. So you'll meet twice a week for 2 hours. So that's a total of 4 hours, but you need to at least spend 6 hours doing homework. So at least 10 hours of Edgenuity requires at least 10 hours a week for 6 weeks in order for you to complete the program and the class on time. Okay, so something to keep in mind. Also, in order for you to become eligible for Edgenuity, you have to have all of your classes passed with at least a C or better. The reason for that is because we want to make sure that if we're adding another class to your schedule, that you're passing all of your classes. We don't want to add this credit recovery class for you, and then you start maybe declining your grades in your current classes, and then now you're going to have to make up another class. So we really just want you to be successful, and we really want the best for you. So just kind of keep that in mind. Keep your grades at least a C in order for you to become eligible for Edgenuity. Okay. Also, attendance is very important for Edgenuity because it is a 6-week course. You can complete one whole semester class for one class in 6 weeks. So it is obviously a little bit of fast-paced class. So that is why attendance is really mandatory. Okay. Now, your second option for credit recovery, maybe you didn't qualify for Edgenuity because of your grades, or maybe because you were a freshman and you didn't get to do Edgenuity. What is another option that you have is summer school. Okay, so this year, summer school starts on June 18th and it ends at July 2nd, which is 11 days. And 11 days, you can complete at least 2 classes that you may have had a D or an F on. We start advertising summer school and start getting interest starting April all the way to May. So the deadline for summer school is coming up. I believe it is this Friday. So if you are interested in going to summer school, there's been tons of emails that have been sent out. Please check your email, do that registration form. Even if you are not 100% sure that you may not go to summer school, or maybe because currently right now you may not be passing your classes and you want to make sure you save your spot because probably you fail 1 or 2 classes this semester, make sure you submit that registration form to kind of save your spot so that we know what classes we need to put you in, okay? If some of us have already added some of your classes in to try to get ahead. Now, you will get approved to get ahead as long as you pass all of your current classes. But if you submitted a request to try to get ahead of your classes, but you did not pass one of your classes this semester, we will remove that class from you to try to get ahead, and we're going to put you the class that you need. Okay? So you may have requested for you to try to get ahead with world history or art, but we may have put in a class that you need because maybe you received a D or an F. There will be 3 sessions in the summer. The first session is, and the first 2 sessions are in person. So we have session 1 that's 8:30 to 11:30, session 2 that is from 12:30 to 3:30, and then session 3, which is only online through Edgenuity, which is from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. So you have the choice to pick which one. However, keep in mind that maybe some classes may only be offered in Edgenuity or maybe only offered during session 2. It depends on how many teachers we have available and what subjects we have available to teach during that time period. So we are going to do the best to make sure to put in the summer school that you are requesting the session. However, it is going to be based also on the availability of that class. Now, why higher education? Why should you have a higher education after high school? Well, there is more opportunities. Some of you mentioned you guys wanted to own a cabin, own a beach house, or have your dream car. If you want to have that lifestyle where you get to choose where you want to, how you want your lifestyle to be, you want to live comfortably, higher education is one of the options for you to go. Because as you can see, the higher education that you have, the more money there is, okay? So high school diploma. So if you just do your high school requirements and then you maybe start working at a minimum wage job, you'll probably earn around $38,000 a year. However, there are some jobs that require a high school diploma and still make pretty good money, okay? But there is some additional training that they go through, additional certification, so that is still a form of education. Now, there is obviously the higher salary. So if you graduate from a 4-year university, you will earn a bachelor's degree, and that puts you at a $64,000 a year. I personally have a master's degree. So that puts me already at $77,000 a year. So I will be honest with you. It is definitely worth it from my personal experience. I do not mind sharing that. I have my car, I have my house, I am living pretty comfortably, but I did work very hard to be where I am. It was not easy. But I had a lot of people who guided me and pushed me and encouraged me. I will be honest, there were many times where I just wanted to say, because I also have an associate's degree. There are many times when I said, you know what, I'm okay with just my associate's degree. I will earn $46,000 with that. That's okay. But then you know what? I said, I want to own a cabin, right? Well, maybe I need a little bit more education in order for me to be able to do that. That is actually on my bucket list. So I have my house now. I was able to purchase my house now just recently. And hopefully in a few years, saving more money, I will be able to own my cabin. But that is the lifestyle that I want. So higher education was the route that I chose. And I hope that is also the route that you choose, because we want you to be comfortable. Because they're also having a well-paid career will also give you really good benefits. Why is it important for you to have benefits? Because your health is very important. Because you matter. And we want to make sure that you, health-wise, you're taken care of. If you have una muela picada, we want to make sure that you go take care of that cavity, because it's going to be really painful. And getting those cavities replaced, it's not cheap. It's going to the dentist is not cheap. So definitely having those benefits, that retirement plan, so that when you work so hard and you've done everything for you to be successful, you definitely deserve a well-paid retirement where you are taken care of. And also, you're more than likely to give back to your community. That is also something on my bucket list that I'm wanting to do. By the time you guys are seniors, I hope that we will be able to fund a scholarship so that you are able to go to the college and you have free money that you do not have to pay back. That is also part of our bucket list. However, again, I chose higher education, so I have more of that additional incentives that I could do. Now, what are some of those systems that you can have after high school? Well, you could go to a UC. You can go to a California State University. You could also go to a private college, which is also known as an independent university. You could go to a community college. These are the different types of systems of higher education. I'm going to talk a little bit about each one. So UC, what does it take for you to go to a UC? You have to have an ACT or an SAT. Your academic GPA, remember I talked a little bit about your CSU GPA that talks about 10th and 11th grade. It has to be at 3.0 or better. You have to have completed your A through D requirements. So because we were in a pandemic, there are some a little bit requirements that were different. And some of those things have been kind of, it was a little bit linear for students to be able to get in. But by the time you are a senior, it will be back to the regular requirements. More than likely, it will be back to the regular requirements that it needs to be in order for you to attend a UC. So that's what that little disclaimer may talk a little bit about, because some of your grades your freshman year may have a P or an NM. If it has a P, they will accept it. It just won't go into the GPA. If it has an N or an N or an M, that means a no mark. You will need to retake that class in your transcript. Okay, so just something to kind of keep in mind. However, when you meet with your counselor, they can go a little bit more into detail about this. So there are, I can't see my notes. There are 9 UCs available, I believe. Let me just double check because I want to make sure I'm giving you the accurate information. There are, 9 UCs in California. Okay. Now, UC, what are the UC requirements? You have to have an ACT or an SAT, You have to have completed your A through D requirements, and the GPA varies on per campus. Yes, we have a question. Yes. No, CSUs. Okay. And same thing, same requirements as a UC, okay? There are a total of 23 campuses that are considered a CSU, which is a California State University. And there start all the way from the very top of California to the very bottom. So Humboldt to San Diego, it varies. Now we have private/independent universities, and what does it require for you to get in? Something I really want to highlight is that every private/independent university has their own requirements. So something to keep in mind, if there is a specific private university that you are wanting to go to, they may have specific requirements for that particular college, okay? But just some examples, and this example that I chose is Fresno Pacific. That is one of our nearest private universities. Their average acceptance GPA is from a 3.2 to a 3.6. Remember, that is just the average acceptance. Their average SAT scores were from 1,080 to 1,190. Their average ACT scores were from between 21 to 25. So your SAT and your ACT, I'll go a little bit more into detail about that in the next couple of slides, okay? But these are some exams that you need to take in order for you to be admitted to these universities. a UC, CSU, and a private. And again, they may have some additional requirements. Like for example, like the Academy of Arts in San Francisco will ask for an art portfolio because they are an art private independent university. So they will ask for you to submit an art portfolio. Okay, so if that's something that you're really interested, or if you're wanting to do dance, they may require for some video footage, portfolio, some kind of video in order for you to become accepted. They may require for a resume. They may require an interview. So it just really depends on the private university. Now, California Community College admissions requirements. They will admit anybody who is in California, a resident with a high school diploma or something equivalent. They may also admit a non-resident with high school diploma or equivalent, and they will admit anyone over the age of 18 without a high school diploma as well. You can also get your GED in a California community college. Okay, so community college has lots of very options for you. They have some trade schools, some certifications. So if you're wanting to be an auto mechanic, for example, at Fresno City, you really get that hands-on experience that even when something happens to your car, you can take it to Fresno City and they will fix it for you for free. The only thing you have to pay for are for the parts. But that's because you're a student there, you're a staff there at Fresno City, so you can have free oil change at Fresno City, but you just have to be a staff there and you just have to pay for any parts that you need. But the students are the ones that are doing it, so they get a lot of that hands-on experience. If you want to be a photographer, they have certification for that. If you want to be at the police academy, fire department academy, they have that too. Nursing, they have it as well. So you can find all of that at a community college. With community college also, these last couple of years, they have had a grant that offers free college for the first 2 years. However, you have to pledge for it that you are going to be a full-time student. You're going to pass all of your classes with a C or a better, and you're going to be on track. So you're saying that you pledge that you are going to have all of these requirements done, which then would offer you free tuition at a community college. However, keep in mind that it is a grant. So a grant means that it is only accepted for a certain amount of year. So I cannot say that by your senior year, it may be free. A grant has to be renewed each time. So hopefully, more than likely, by the time your senior year, that grant will still be available. Okay, but as of right now, I believe this is the last year that the grant is for students, and then it has to go through like the bill through the Congress to get it approved, so then it can be renewed again. So something to keep in mind. Also, community college, some of our students are taking dual enrollment. So what that means is that you really need to keep track of all of the classes that you're taking that are dual enrollment and at which community college you are taking it at. Because when it is time for you to apply for college, they're going to request official transcripts. And dual enrollment is a college class. So you are seen as a college student. So myself, Ms. Bonilla, Ms. Heniguez, cannot go to Madera Community College and say, oh, Johnny needs his official transcripts. Can you send it over? No, we cannot do that. That needs to come from you. So that's something that you sign up for when you are doing dual enrollment, because you are seen as a college student. College student is then responsible for themselves. So you will be responsible to know what classes you are taking, at what college you're taking it, and you will need to request those official transcripts and send them over to the university you are applying for. So please do not forget your username, your passport. A lot of our students are currently going through dual enrollment, and I cannot emphasize enough how important it is for you to be checking your personal email, for you to know your college ID number, for you to know your college that you are applying to. Okay, some of you are taking classes at Ridley, some of you are taking at Fresno City, at Madera. you need to keep track of all the classes that you are taking for dual enrollment if you are wanting to get credit for it. Okay, so it's something to kind of keep in mind. So we heard a lot about ACT. So ACT is a standardized test that is used for college admissions. And in the ACT, you will have English, science, writing. It is a test that will take a few hours. I want to say, I have a comparison. I'll get to that. But ACT is one of the requirements that is through the ACT website that you will need in order for you to apply to college. Through College Board, you also can take AP exams. So some of our students are already taking AP exams. That is not an admissions requirement. However, it will definitely help and make you look very competitive if you are taking AP exams. There's PSAT. So PSAT is what you will take your sophomore year. However, some of our sophomores now were not able to take this exam because it was not offered. So, but next year, hoping everything comes back to normal, then our sophomores will be able to take this PSAT. One of the benefits about taking the PSAT, depending on what you score on, you will also be able to qualify for the National Merit Scholarship through the PSAT. Majority of our scholarships are offered to only for our seniors. But with the PSAT being a sophomore, you could also start qualifying for that National Merit Scholarship. So something to kind of keep in mind when you are taking these standardized tests, even when you're taking your test here, like NWEA, the RIT, your reading inventory test, really take those tests seriously, because those tests will also help determine what classes you will be taking and what level you're academically at. Then SAT. So SAT is the other requirement that is needed for you in order for you to apply for a university. However, you can take the ACT or the SAT. However, we do recommend that you take both. The reason why we recommend both is because odds are you're going to do better on one of them. And we're going to submit the highest one. So universities, they do what is called a super score. So what that means is whichever standardized exam, whether you did the ACT or the SAT, they will always choose the highest grade score in order to consider your acceptance. So it's really important for you to take both, because you will do better on one of them. It is guaranteed that you will do better on one of them. So we will be recommending for you to take both of them. And this one kind of just compares a little bit about the differences. Yes, the SAT is a little bit longer than the ACT. The writing, you can see it on both. It is optional. However, some UCs or some private universities will require the writing portion. So if you do not take the writing portion and you're wanting to go to maybe UC Berkeley, and UC Berkeley is requesting your writing part and you didn't take it, well, then you already have not met all of the admissions requirements. You may have the highest grades, you may be like the top student, but because you didn't take that writing portion, you may not be considered for it. Okay, so just something to keep in mind, that it is optional, but we do recommend for you to take it. You're already taking the exam, so might as well just take it. Just do the writing part. There is a price for each one. However, more than likely, we will offer somewhat of a fee waiver. It just depends how much funding there is. Again, like for example, the AP exams. Those exams cost like about $70, $60, but our school pays for it. So some of our students who took the AP Euro, and maybe they're like, we paid for those exams. And then you were just like, no, well, I don't want to take it. But we had paid that exam for you. It is free, students. I don't know about you, but if it's free, it's for me, right? So who doesn't like that free stuff? So really take those AP exams. If you're taking an AP class, it's not going to go against you. It's not going to hurt you. So if anything, it's only going to benefit you. So really take those AP exams if you're in the AP class.
There's a question in the chat, would a UC only want a certain test, like only ACT, not the SAT?
That is a great question. There are some private universities that will only ask for a certain exam. Also, some majors. For example, Fresno State for the engineering department really looks at the ACT test scores. And the reason for that is because if you look at right here, where it says ACT sections, and then it says English, math, reading, science. Science is in the ACT. With engineering, there is some science in there. With nursing, there's some science in there. So that is why they may ask for that particular exam. If you see on the SAT, do you see science in there? No. And that is why they may not ask for some of those SATs. So that's a great question. Okay, how are you going to be competitive? How are you going to make schools look at you and say, you know what, this student is the top of the student, we need to choose them? By taking enhanced classes, by taking honors classes, by taking AP classes, by taking dual enrollment classes. This will put you as you're being a competitive student because you are taking rigorous work. You are showing them that you are college bound, that you are college ready, and that you can take these courses and that you can accomplish them. Keep in mind with AP, dual enrollment, and honors classes, you will also get that extra bump in your GPA. So if you hear some of the students that say they graduated with a 4.4, and you're like, how is that possible? Well, they took some of these competitive classes. They took some of the honors classes. They took some of the AP classes in dual enrollment. Enhanced classes do not have that GPA bump, but they will prepare you for these other advanced classes. So just something to kind of keep in mind. Now, NCAA. What is NCAA? That is for our athletes. For our athletes, there are certain requirements that you also need to take in order for you to become accepted in the NCAA, which is a members and national office that is dedicated for lifelong success for our college athletes. What are some of those eligibility requirements? They really, and what does the eligibility center offer? For you to be an NCAA, you do have to have an account with Eligibility Center. And we'll talk a little bit more about that for our athletes, but I just kind of wanted to put it out here in case if you're thinking about it, you still have time to be part of the NCAA. And they offer, there's certain high school courses that you have to take, and they obviously offer a lot of support for you. And there are into certain divisions. They have Division 1, Division 2, and Division 3. So depending on which one you're in. So what is it? What are the requirements? As you can see on my screen, it is very similar to A through G. So if you're an NCAA student, please be on track with your A through G requirements because that is what's going to put you at the very top, which is Division 1. You want to make sure you're a Division 1 because if you're an athlete, it is very competitive too. So you got to be competitive. It may have a little bit of a lower GPA requirement, but keep in mind that our Derek Carr, he went to a private school. He was part of Fresno State. And who does he play for now? The Raiders. Yes. He had top grades. He was a top athlete. And now he made it to the NFL. And you know what school he went to? He went to Bakersfield Christian. He's from the Central Valley. When I was in high school, he played my high school and I got to see him there. And he came to my hometown. So you can do it. You're an athlete, you can do it. You can be our next Derek Carr that's coming from California, okay? English requirements, 4 years. Math, you need 3 years. Natural science, physical science, 2 years. You need to have an additional year of either English, math, or science. You need to have social science, 2 years, which is history. And you need to have at least 4 years of additional coursework altogether. So grade 9, how do you know you're on the plan for NCAA? Well, first, you're setting yourself up and you're saying, you know what? I'm thinking about NCAA, and I'm wanting to go through that track. I want to be an athlete. Then you start building that account through the eligibility center. But please, before you start signing up for anything, talk to your coach, talk to your counselor. We want to make sure you're doing the right one. Okay. Currently, right now, our school, you will not see it because we're brand new. So we're still kind of working on getting our school advertised. So you will not see the approved classes just yet. Don't freak out if you don't see it in the NCAA page. We got you. We're going to work very hard to make sure that all of our classes that you're taking, you're covered, okay? So just talk to your counselor if you have any questions. That is right now, that's your plan for 9th grade and 10th grade. Now, these are just some few announcements. Something to keep in mind, at Madera, we have that privilege that we have the CTE pathways. Not all high schools have this opportunity. Here at Matilda Torres, we have our wonderful engineering program that you really need to take a moment and really admire how much work and effort Madera Unified is spending to making sure that you are college ready. These CT pathways are trying to prepare you for college, trying to prepare you for after high school, for the workforce, okay? You're taking these CT pathways and seeing if you're gaining some experience and you like it. And then when you're out studying it, you're out in the career, you're even more prepared than some of our other high school students that don't even offer the CTE pathways. Okay, so just something really to keep in mind when you're doing your CTE pathways. You really need to make sure that you're not constantly changing, because we want to make sure that you're getting the best experience that you possibly can and completing that pathway and showing college admissions that you can do this, that you can complete a pathway and that you are ready for college bound, okay? Or for the workforce, okay? Remember, there's the after school program that is available. They're just there waiting for you to come out and help them, come out and get some help. Please, there are resources available. Use them. You're not alone in this, okay? They're right now at this moment, they are through Zoom. It is in our Google Classroom. You can always get that link, or you can ask your counselor, and we are more than happy to submit that referral so that our after school coordinator can reach out to you. But it is tutoring for free. Clubs and organizations, get involved. Some universities, remember when I talked about those private universities, they ask for additional requirements. Some of those additional requirements may be, what did you give back to the community? What did you do at school? Why should I choose you over the other candidate? Getting involved will also make you look competitive. Student involvement is very important. Not only that, but you are doing volunteer services. You're giving back to the community. You are learning. You're becoming social. You're learning those communication skills. Ms. Iniguez runs the Latinx Club. She does lots of fun activities with our students after school. They have a lot of fun ideas, but it takes a group, like leadership. They put a lot of effort into those rallies, a lot of time. And sometimes students don't really appreciate that. And they're just sitting back and not really enjoying it. But it takes a lot of planning, a lot of time. So when you're out in those rallies, maybe you're not a really social person. That's okay, but at least be involved. Show that appreciation, show that Toro spirit that you have. You can do it for sure. Get involved. If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to go to Matilda Torres' website. We have our counselor page on there that talks a little bit about some of the things that we've talked about. The website is, we try to get it as updated as we can, but please check it out. Check out our Google Classroom. We're always posting some important announcements. Some of these PowerPoints are there, so maybe you weren't able to you're really wanting to get some of these notes, but you weren't able to write it all down. It'll be posted on our Google Classroom and you'll have access to it anytime. Thank you very much for joining. Are there any questions? Any questions?
Will we share the presentation with students that attended?
Yes, we could definitely share it. Yes, that's a great question. We can definitely share it for the students that attended. Remember, if you were here, you get 5-star points, okay? Thank you so much for joining. Have a wonderful day.